winner, and he is embedded in the Micronesian community. And the Micronesian community is one that's looked down upon in Hawaii. So there's complexities even within Hawaii that we need to figure out. And there's nothing more powerful than filmmaking. And that's what we do. And then one last piece. I know I'm talking a long time, but the last piece of it is showcasing that work, building an audience, proving to the studios, to the execs, that there's an audience. And the way we do that is we rally a community around that filmmaker. And we've done showcases, and we've proven time and time again, there's an audience in Hawaii. I mean, Daniel's seen it, you know, we straight up sell this whole thing out, you know. They go to HIFF, they get recognized there, we try to get them Oscar qualified. We're gonna go hard, and we're gonna fucking come back here, and we're gonna represent. That's our goal.
I was born and raised in Hawaii. My parents were Vietnamese refugees who were on their way to Arkansas. And then my mom was pregnant with me and had the emergency land in Honolulu. And I was born there, so they decided to stay there because they saw Asian faces. They saw the climate was nice. And it's like, talking about Hawaii as this Asian American paradise, API paradise. Like, it's like, I grew up with that, kind of mentality, and that's a heaven or a mecca for the Asian American experience. But you learn about things, and and recognize that I am myself and Asian settler colonialist, and the narrative of the history of Hawaii and its complication of the displacement of the Hawaiian kingdom and stolen lands and whatnot. And so we're all part of that as well. And so, just to be aware of that, and I think there's a movement for that, to recognize that. I mean, even simple as a land acknowledgement, we do that at HIFF, and it's just a simple thing, just a simple gesture. And that may be, some people look at it as being performative, but I think just more of an awareness thing, right? And so, just myself working in programming for HIFF for many years, I just see the market landscape of Native Hawaiian filmmakers like Chris, who are kicking ass. They are making amazing short films, working on their feature films that go to Sundance, whatnot, and so there are not that much opportunities in Hawaii because the philanthropy is not there. It's still very much a very mono industry. You either work for the government or the military or tourism, right? So if it doesn't, you don't really talk about the authentic kind of stories of Hawaii. And so for HIFF, our initiative was basically we just show films, we do these labs, but we really want to go into really kind of champion. I personally just this group of local filmmakers, but also Kanaka Maoli filmmakers who are doing really well, and they need that chance, that push. So we basically are going into our first production. We stole the playbook from Carrie Warkia and her films of Waru and Vai and whatnot. So we're doing the same model and it's called Makavalu. And again, kind of an allyship. Daniel is on board as an executive producer. We have TAF that generously are giving us a wonderful sponsorship and donation and whatnot. So we're just pounding the pavement of getting that feature film made with our just amazing Kanaka filmmakers working together to make this thing possible.
And to me, this is the most beautiful kind of allyship, right? Is an investment in the community because you're from that community, but also making space for voices and for the storytellers to come through and tell their stories in the most authentic ways. So I love these guys.
Hey, I heard that. I think that theme has come up a lot, right? Investment, and for me, as you said, you put your money where your mouth is, right? You're investing money. And I also think it's about, again, investing in relationships and connections with the communities that you purport to serve, right? And so I think I have a question around, just what how can we improve that, right? How can people improve it? And I think one thing for me often is, I always like to gauge, how many of the community are actually part of your organizations, especially in leadership roles.
To me?
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of, kind of finishing, what I was talking about, which is like, we started off with the idea that when you work with Native talent, it's changing the script or shooing them into a place and forcing the issue, where now I think it's more about how do we build underrepresented voices in a way that they succeed, and as we saw some of the other panels, it's a business. So we can talk all we want, but what we need to do is rapidly prototype IP. We need to radically prototype proof of concepts around Indigenous ideas. And what I mean by that is we need to not be afraid of genres, of things that are outside of our Indigenous roots, and go after, the Blumhouses and all that stuff, and do it in an Indigenous voice, And so I think what's missing is that we're thinking about it wrong in a lot of ways. We need a lot of doers. A lot of people, we get on panels, we talk, but we need to get in the trenches. We need to do everything we can to actually make it work.
Oh, sorry, bro. I think the question I was getting at was
sorry.
no, you're right.
Yeah.
Was how many Kanaka do you have in your staff in your organization, especially in leadership roles?
Yeah. So yeah.
So
Kristian.
yeah, so Ohina started probably about 15 years ago, and then they went through iteration, and then they went away, and then they restarted probably about 5 years ago. And in that 5 years, I saw them really building like something that I thought was important. It was like a missing piece within the ecosystem of film in Hawaii. So HIFF is amazing at premiering Hawaii films, Hawaii filmmakers, and supporting that way. But there was never a lab, like a place that filmmakers can actually learn film. So me and him have been friends for a long time, film friends for a long time. And he asked me, he said, hey, do you think you would have the time, and do you think the community would benefit from having you as part of Ohina? And I thought that was like a huge honor, because I thought what was missing from that organization was actually a Kanaka Maoli saying, hey, we got so many of these types of films coming through the pipeline already. Why don't we support this Indigenous voice or a Micronesian story, which is no one's gonna tell a Micronesian story without the support of, people have tried, but it's a really tough community to crack, and without the support of an Ohina, that story is not gonna get told, or if it gets told, it's not gonna be told correctly from within the community. So just to say how many Kanaka are on that crew, I think there's 3 of us actually, 3 or 4 of us who work together, and I'm one of 4. So
yeah, and sorry to go off of that. And through the program, we've helped a lot of Kanaka Maoli filmmakers.
A lot.
We have a long list. Alika Taingan, Aaron Lau. I'm gonna just go off our rock stars, everyone.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is a little bit of a necessary thing between me and Chris. Yeah. You want to jump in anytime, Chris?
no, pretty much all the native filmmakers, Hawaiian filmmakers that that made films in Sundance, came through
Bryson.
Ohina Labs. So they were championing Kanaka filmmakers, and I supported what they were doing. So we look forward to continuing to support Kanaka filmmakers. And also all filmmakers, actually.
And Zoe,
not just Kanaka.
And not to mention,
It's
Zoe's
just
working with
all
Ty.
independent. Yeah.
Ty Sangha, on something as well.
So the festival HIFF is 44 years old. For the first 20 years, majority of the festival's history, the top level positions executives were white, right? So I was the first API programmer on board full time, and that's our just director. But the women we have, again, there's definitely a deficit of having Kanaka representation on staff, and honestly, it's my timeline, my interim timeline is I've been at HIFF for too long, but it's just to be frank, but I think it's and I think there needs to be a refresh. Makavalu is something that I'm really passionate about, and just like I'm looking really for the next generation of programming staff to take over, and just to be Kanaka especially, and so that's one of our internal goals right now to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because for me, it's like I hope those mandates are always there, right? Like if going back to solidarity, like the way that we show that is again that investment, and it's not just in bringing people into these programs, but it's like how are we having them involved at every level, and it goes back to the decision making and having people who understand the communities best to be able to serve them the best, and we all work in that collaboration. So so thank you for that. And
then I just want to talk about the last panel that was here. I was so inspired by it and talking about allyship and just betting on filmmakers and whatnot. I just want to recognize Nina Yang Mangiobi, who was just here, but she's working with Alika Tengan on his feature film, and so it's really exciting to see just a lot of people probably like Daniel is very passionate about that as well. So it's really that investment of like cultural investment in there. So we're a nonprofit organization, so we're just great if there's any donations or tax write-offs. So but I'm shameless, man. Exactly. Yeah. So so that's if you need a shell, no, it's okay. But yes, but that's just one of our missions is to really kind of like really have more Kanaka representation on, especially ideally in the executive staff as well.
Yeah, sweet. Speaking of Nina, Nina was part of a great film. Where is she?
She was.
Oh, she ran off? Okay. Speaking of Nina, she was behind a great film last year, Fancy Dance. And hey, Matilda, what's up? And as we know, it was like a darling with reviews. Critics loved it. I really loved it, but it hasn't been picked up for distribution yet, right? And so I kind of want to switch gears, but talk a little bit about Indigenous stories being seen beyond Sundance, right? And Ianeta, in your roles, you've seen a lot of success stories at PIC, at Sundance, and you've also seen a lot of the setbacks, even after people have been they've had their work promoted at such a prestigious and renowned festival like Sundance, right? Can you speak a little bit about that, and maybe is there do you see solidarity playing a part in making sure those are being seen, or is it just way beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Gold House, and the way they've gotten the community to rally behind. I don't know why my voice is so low right now. It's like,
Should pause and wait here.
I know. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's amazing, to see how much a community can, like I said, like, rally behind a film, and how much that can really push it over the edge to be seen and create noise. Again, the panel before this, amazing, and they're talking about the landscape of film right now, and like how a lot of it is, no budget for marketing, everything is social media, put out your own. So, just by doing that and creating investment, from the communities that you're serving and the communities you actually made the films for, to me, I think that's brilliant. And, I asked Nina behind in the green room, I was like, so you mentioned, hey, wait, you're gonna hear about this film. I was like, when are we gonna hear about that? And she's like, I can't tell you, but that's exciting. Thinking about the noise that was created for Fancy Dance, because like you said, like they checked all the boxes, everything was there. It's a great film. Audiences loved it, Sundance, Rotten Tomatoes, all the things. But again, there's that missing piece between buyers taking a risk and letting it be seen by general audiences. But yeah.
I don't know. So I am gonna pass it. I'm really curious to hear Isia's opinion on this. As someone who works in sales and knows a lot about what kind of gets picked up and what doesn't. So Isia, do you have any thoughts about what's missing to get our stories seen beyond, especially after Sundance, right? A festival like Sundance. We got a mic on its way. Thank you.
I could also just project, but I won't do that.
Hi. Yeah, just a question about distribution, because we're talking about really specific stories, and we're a very small population, but there is a big audience out there. So I was just curious about what are our ideas so far about, some big deals are going to happen this year at Sundance, probably not including any of the stories that we want to tell. So I was just curious about, what have you learned, are the opportunities for us as we think about getting our small stories on bigger stages. So how do you get specific Pasifika stories to the world?
I thought you were answering that.
That's what that question was for you, actually.
I'm so confused.
I don't think anyone knows the answer to that.
No, but you haven't. No. Oh, yeah.
I feel like we're finally getting somewhere. Meaning, bringing it back to what I said, we specialize in short films at the moment, but that's a process of rapidly prototyping the IP. So you could see what's gonna hit before you turn it into a feature film. So we now can kind of gauge if there's an audience beyond Hawaii based on the short film, like how it hits at the festivals. So we've done a number of them, we've done 20. And it's been 6 years of Ohina. And so, last one sugar made it all the way through the lab program here. And so we know that's a viable product and that we're gonna push. The next one is one we're very excited about, Kokini, that's on Olelo, Hawaii. We just released a trailer and it has 100,000 views. So we're like, that has juice. Because all the other short films, they may be great, they may be crafted well, we love the voice, bold filmmaking, it's just not gaining the traction. So what we're trying to do next, the next phase of this, is identifying the feature film that's attached, or maybe a TV show that goes with the IP that comes from the short film. So that's more of our practical future that I think we get there.
So what I'm hearing is, basically suck all the life out of the art and just go for what's gonna make money is what you're saying, is that? Okay. But yeah, like you mentioned before, like it is a business, right? And unfortunately, sometimes, there comes that compromise where you do have to pander to some extent, and that's the reality of this industry we we are running around.
I mean, the metrics are so murky nowadays, right? Like, and then you look at Indigenous story, Reservation Dogs is such a, just a, I don't know if it's a zeitgeist show, but definitely it's a, very much, in a sense, it's all about the gatekeepers and how, is that FX, right? FX and Hulu, and they're very daring in their, it's the same network that does It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right? So, and like Sterling Harjo, who's been, again, through the Sundance, he's been a Sundance alum, and for years, and that's how he met Taika, and Taika got a lot of juice, and Taika got it made, basically, because he got a deal, a standing deal at FX. So, that's like, and I mean, in a way, like just what Daniel's doing with Sunrise, what Nina's doing with producing and whatnot, it's just like having those key allies come on board, because the model when it comes to box office and whatnot, I don't know. I mean, like look at the streamers, they're not. Everyone's like, there were the strikes, but I feel like when it comes to the metrics, when it comes to what are ratings and whatnot, it's still very much tight to the chest. Still like Fort Knox when it comes to those secrets. But I think it's like in a way, yes, there's a retraction in the amount of content because of the pandemic and the strikes and whatnot, and but I think it's just. You still need to, I'm saying in very generalized terms, but you still need to feed the beast when it comes to the content. And I think it's like, again, like I connect with Bea's film because, just because of those, what's great about a story, it may not be my story, but there's those universal tenets that I get, and that's what moved me in that film. And so I think that again, that's just storytelling 101. When it comes to that, just having those universal kind of connections and people can can empathize with the story.
Yep. Sweet. Oh, you
No,
want
I
to
was
say
gonna
something?
say, I mean, everything's a balance too, right? It's like, again, the producing panel, it's getting people in those key spots. It's taking advantage of those opportunities, like Nina was talking about. Going out, doing the producers programs, doing the labs, signing up for all these things. It's also, you have to have something good. If it sucks, it sucks. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're Indigenous or Pacific Islander. If it sucks, it sucks. I'm sorry. And it's like my fellows over here, our Indigenous fellows. It's like you gotta just keep going. You gotta keep making things. Like that's one thing I admired about Ohina is he definitely puts his money where his mouth is, because it's like they make things. They make things. Having a script, it's nice, but sitting in your email box, your inbox is not going to do anything. But getting people behind a camera, funding cameras for people, just making, doing, creating, learning along the way, and keep on
Something
pushing.
along the way.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Pardon?
Don't sign that.
Yeah. And then also, seeing Pasifika faces on television, like, Luciane is huge. Seeing faces like yours on MTV, huge. So, yeah.
Getting all these like dark secrets from our past.
I know.
He was an MTV VJ.
Anyway,
in
back to Luciane. Speaking of Luciane on TV, and we were talking about kind of mainstream success, right? Which we know is like code for white success, right? Luciane, you're experiencing like a big come up with The Night Agent. You got an Apple TV show coming up, Chief of War. You're really blowing up, and I love that you're still so committed to Pasifika storytelling specifically, right? And putting on other Pasifika people as far as creatives go. Is there something to be said about solidarity within our communities when we are presented with mainstream success?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to make this short film before I booked both of those jobs, and what I found from making that short, the coolest experience was auditioning the two other Tongan actors, and I was reading with them and I almost forgot to read my lines because I was so shocked that these lines I've been staring at for years were being said out loud, and that was the same kick I get from doing a scene really well, and I was like, what is this? Is this love, but not acting? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go the other way. But it just brought tears to my eyes knowing that I could give an opportunity to another Tongan actor, which even less than Hawaiian actors, like we're like little to none. Like I think back home it's Māori and Samoan that dominate the Indigenous space, and there's just me there and a couple of others sitting in a garage like, what do we do? How do we do this? So yeah, it was just a huge thing for me, and I just want to continue to be a part of the trailblazers in our own community and being in that conversation. There was a TV show back home called The Panthers that we're both involved in, based on the Polynesian Panthers, which was a movement inspired by the Black Panther movement, and I couldn't audition for a role, and I was like, can I work behind the scenes? So I started off as a script editor, which I'm not qualified for, but I learned really quick, and then I ended up being music supervisor, then associate producer. I just kind of climbed through that, and that premiered at TIFF, and it's just putting yourself in these positions, and like other actors look at me and go, why the hell are you like crew all of a sudden? Like it's like you can't switch lanes. But for me, it's all learning. I want to know all aspects. I want to sit in the editing room with Vera. I want to be a part of those conversations when networks are coming back. And I guess for me, to go back to your question, with the mainstream thing, I had no idea that The Night Agent was going to be as popular as it was. I was kind of like, what do I do next? But I'm going to take that and use it to my advantage. If that means I can get into rooms with powerful players and make the things I want to make. Look at Margot Robbie. She's done a lane switch with Lucky Chap Entertainment, and she's still struggling considering she had the highest grossing film, but she's using that to amplify female voices, and I want to do that for Pasifika in whatever way that I can. But I'm still very early, so don't tell my secret. But yeah, I want to continue doing that.
Sweet. So I do want to give some time for Q&A. If people have any questions in the audience. No one else.
While we're waiting, I also wanted to give a shout out to our lovely ASL interpreters here. They've been working hard, and I just really wanted to see how you sign humu humu nuku nuku apua.
Any questions? We got one over here.
I have a question for Luciane. Hi. First off, tease up, girl. I've been writing for a long time, but I just got into acting. So my question is, what do you enjoy doing more, acting or writing your own stories?
I think I have more of a grasp on acting because I've only written the short film. But I will say they both help inform the other. I think I'm a better actor because I've learned how to write and learned story structure and vice versa. When I write, I see it how I know story arcs, and I wouldn't do it like both again. That was too much for my brain. That I was like, did we get everything? We've been, do we hit all the beats? But yeah, I think the more that you can, more lanes that you can be in is only going to make you better in whatever that is. And yeah, keep going. T-game.
Yep, we got another one over here.
Yeah. Hi. I appreciate that this is happening so much. Thank you. I'm an actor, and I'm constantly conflicted with when I'm sent something that I'm physically correct for, but I can't actually fully represent the community because I'm just not from that community. I'm just wondering what your opinion is on that. If it's more respectful to just
Can you be more specific? Like what when you say?
So say I'm half Japanese and I speak Japanese, but I get sent roles for every Asian ethnicity, sometimes Spanish, because my face can read different ways, but I never feel quite right putting myself in that position, but everyone else does. I just always feel really conflicted about it, so I'm just curious to hear your opinions.
Yeah, I've been told multiple times that I don't look Polynesian enough by casting directors to my face. And I was like, what? Then do I look white enough? So that's why I wrote the short film, because I was like, if no one else is going to write it specifically as a half-caste Tongan, I'm going to make it for myself. Did I think I would make it? No. And it explores all of those nuances of that, how do I navigate this? I'm in this world, I'm in that world. But I totally understand, and honestly, girl, just take the white roles, take it off there.
I guess it's not even just white, but other
Right,
minority
Asian.
communities that
Yeah.
feel right replacing.
But I would be interested, I had, looking at you, I had no idea that you could speak Japanese, and how cool, there's a story in there, and I think you should explore something, even as a fun exercise, because there's something interesting in that, and yeah, keep going, honestly. Yeah, I hope that answers.
I can give you my personal opinion if you like. I would not go. I mean, I think I allow more grace if it's within the same ethnic group, right? Well, within the same if it's Asian or if it's let me just stick to Pacific Islander. I offer more grace for other Pacific Islanders playing different Pacific Islanders, right? Especially if it's a less represented group that gets an opportunity to come forward, right? I don't offer as much grace if it's a Samoan taking all these roles of other groups when Samoans are the face of most of the roles that we have out there, right? So I think it really just depends. But I also, while I'm being filmed, I also don't want to go on record saying that you should go out and go for this. But yeah, it is complex, right? Because there is such a there aren't many roles out there for us to begin with. So it's where do you stand? So I think overall I'm a bit of a hippie, and I really do believe if you say no to certain things, the right things will come around, and you just have to trust it. And what Luciane did, sometimes you really have to make your own shit because nobody else is gonna give you that opportunity, right? So that's, I don't know if that answers the question, but that's the best I can answer it.
I got thoughts on it as a director. So I often get offered scripts which aren't written by Hawaiians, but they're looking for a Hawaiian director. And I think
I think as an artist, you have to consider whether or not this project will be made without you, or would it be beneficial for them to have you as part of this project. So personally, do you think by your involvement, you can actually help this project, which may or may not, sometimes these projects are gonna get made nonetheless. And if I don't contribute myself and my voice to the representation of Hawaiians, then it's gonna be done without me, right? So at the end of the day, I know a lot of the actors, it's like, you have to do what you gotta do. Like, you're an actor, that's your craft. And although we strive, in my casting, there's a character who's, Hawaiian. I try to cast a Hawaiian, but if the character, filmmaking's like a business, right? So sometimes the Hawaiian actor doesn't move the needle enough in the present tense. Like, at this moment in time, we plug in a Kanaka Maoli actor, it doesn't make the film get financed, right? So as a director, am I gonna say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna stick to Hawaiian actor, or else let's just not do this film, right? So if you value what you do, sometimes, all of us have to, weigh, make sacrifices. I know all actors do. Actors play roles all the time that they don't necessarily feel comfortable playing. And sometimes, it's necessary to move the needle for the rest of the community, right?
I also just want to add, like, if you do take a role that's of a different ethnicity, right? We can't get mad when someone else plays our ethnicities, Because it's like a lot of the time we're like, we're not a monolith, but then we're playing each other. It's like, well, shit, there's a reason why everyone confuses us for all these other groups, right? So, so there's just something to consider, right? Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it really resonates what you said, Chris. We had Dana, who's also on the board of Peak. She was one of our creative advisors for Native Lab this year, and she shared the story. She was working on the Thai cave rescue film that's on Netflix, and same thing, right? Her thought was, am I harming or am I helping? And she knew no one else would do a better job than she would to respect the community and to get things done right. So, I think it's very nuanced. I mean, they wanted me to play Aquaman, but I told them no, I don't have her ancestry, so.
Good. Sweet. We got time for one more question, if anyone has one. Okay, I'm gonna do two. What? Let's try to get through them. 1, 2, 3, and that's it. I'm Paul.
Yeah, for me, this is for Christopher. It was really interesting hearing about your journey to distribution. Oh,
this is for Christopher. So, talking about Waikiki and your journey to distribution, I feel like a lot of upcoming filmmakers would really would want to learn more about, especially since I know you took a while to get to distribution. I would love to hear more about that journey, and especially since being able to sell our movies is like a big factor. And I guess I would love to learn more of like balancing, I need to sell this, and this is the craft. This is an art form.
That's a really long discussion, but honestly, the answer is probably as long as you have to wait to actually get distribution. So it's like, you just gotta keep reminding the distributors why this is valuable, right? So, I mean, a lot of people thought I should have just stopped looking for distribution probably like 3 years ago when it came out. It took me 3 years after its premiere to do its festival route to actually convince somebody that was worth gambling on. And as distributors, that's what they're doing. They're gambling. They're like, okay, I think I can make my money and my investment back. And as a filmmaker, you're like, I think I can make my investors' money back with these deals. We got a lot of shitty deals, honestly. I mean, everyone will get a deal. And some people just sign that shit because they're tired of fighting. And for me, I was just like, yo, I didn't make this thing to make money. I made this thing to make sure people saw it, and at the same time respect my investors, with their contribution and their support. So it's a balancing act, and it just takes time. Definitely learn how movies get made and how movies get financed, and learn how movies make money, right? So there's all these different rights that you can sell that are attached to any particular property or film, right? There's foreign rights, it's like institutional rights, there's TVOD, SVOD, AVOD, theatrical. So all these things, foreign territories, all these things, if you can cobble together enough financing from all these different places, your investors can eventually, hopefully over time, don't sign a 17-year contract. Try and keep it as short as possible. And if you can get, I mean, it's not happening as much anymore, but so people aren't giving minimum guarantees. But if you can get one, that might be the only money you see. So take it if you can get it, But don't stop, because sometimes it takes the world to change for them to recognize the value of what you do. And I think over the course of the pandemic, people's experience of Hawaii and idea of Hawaii changed. And I think it made the film more valuable, and I think it's only become more valuable over time. It's available on streaming, so Apple TV.
All right.
Amazon Prime.
So we're gonna be around for a minute if you want to ask your questions. So whoever, but I'm gonna cut it off. But
thank you.
Just lastly, what are your upcoming projects or something that you wanna promote right now? Starting with Ianeta.
I sat over here because I thought it was gonna be last, but that backfired. So we have I don't know, what do we have, Katie? We have trying to get my secrets. Yeah, we have our Native Lab coming up. Where the applications are at the tail end, so we'll have an announcement. We have an intensive in an undisclosed location. It's gonna be fun. We also have I'm blanking.
Native Forum?
We're gonna announce our Medita Mita Fellow at our new Grayton Fellowship tomorrow, which is amazing. Our Medita Mita Fellowship is one that I love. It's open internationally to women that identify as women. Directors that identify as women, and it's in honor of Medita Mita, who is one of the first Indigenous women to solely direct a feature film, who was also a friend of the program and a creative advisor for a long time. And so that's always the most exciting part of festival for me. And then just continuing our work with the Institute and shepherding our Indigenous fellows and helping them get their stuff made, and
Aquaman 4.
We just skip 3. We just skip 3 altogether. All right.
I'll be lobbying for that.
All right, Gerard, what's up?
A lot. First of all, Chaperone, happening in an hour and a half. Team Chaperone in the house, slam dance down there. I'm an EP on it. Really proud of it. Zoe did all the work. I'm just here. Yeah. So there's that. I mentioned Kokini. That's Paula's story, which I was in the process of finishing that loop, which is she was at the showcase. 2 years later, we got PIC funding. Nichols jumped in, and we have a finished film that's going to a very big Indigenous film festival in 2 months with another Ohina film. I haven't announced that. It's happening.
Guess which one?
In the southern area. Hopefully,
southern area.
I'm currently shooting season 2 of The Night Agent at the moment. It's gonna be fun. I'm really nervous. I need to learn my lines. And I've got another show, Chief of War, coming out on Apple TV+. When that comes out, I don't know.
Are you playing Hawaiian?
I am.
Oh shit.
Let's go to the next panel, all right? Gotta bring us back.
I approve.
It's fine.
Edison, what do you want to?
We're in our 44th year at the Hawaii International Film Festival. We're starting a youth film fest in April, and really investing in the future filmmakers of Hawaii. Really kind of we want to make inroads in. We have a Pasifika showcase, but we want to make inroads locally with the Micronesian, Melanesian communities, whatnot, and really bringing them to the festival. It's it's just really reaching out to them and making kids comfortable to watch films and watch films and learn about films and filmmaking. And so that's why we started this youth film case, our youth film festival called Opio. It's in April. We have and then the big show, the 44th annual HIFF is in October. So, yeah. And I just want to make Makavalu. So,
Yeah.
so for more information, go to hip.org/Makavalu or just go to hip.org. Thank you.
So I'm a filmmaker, so I got, I'm happy to say I got projects that people want me to direct, write and direct. There's one I'm casting currently, and there's a huge project that I'm so excited for. I can't name what it is, but it's on known IP. It's a major motion picture, and I'm so grateful to be working with Nina Banjoli. So I'm so excited for that project. We're gonna kill that.
Legend over here.
All right. Can everybody give it up for our panelists, please? Thank you so much, Dr. Talanoa. Thank you for coming, and yeah, stick around for a bit if you want to stalk these folk up here. Feel free to just say hello. All right. Thank you.